Boston Connect Real Estate, a boutique firm that is home to over 30 real estate sales and marketing agents who service home buyers and home sellers throughout Boston, the South Shore, the South Coast, and Cape Cod. Our firm takes pride in assisting our clients in the next chapter of their lives by taking a holistic approach to their real estate endeavors. We believe that every move should be a moving experience. Every week, my co-host Melissa Wallace and I will provide you with my team's unique marketing approach to selling homes and share with you our expertise in navigating the home buying process. We value the experience of our agents at Boston Connect Real Estate so much that not only will you hear my perspective on real estate topics, occasionally you will hear the expert thoughts and opinions of our experienced agents at Boston Connect Real Estate. Be a part of our roundtable. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We love to talk real estate. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you like to listen to podcasts at Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with me at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate. And good morning to all my South Shore neighbors. This is Sharon McNamara. You are, of course, listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. I don't have my sidekick with me today. She is on a well-deserved vacation. We actually both took last Saturday off from the show, so I'm back live. Of course, I have Tim McKinney in the studio with me today at WATD. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, Sharon. Good morning, good morning.
Good morning. You are my sidekick, as always, on Saturdays, and I love that. And we no longer do the show on Tuesdays, so I no longer am cheating on you on Tuesday nights. It's all me and you, my friend.
Hey, whatever you do on Tuesdays, that's your business. Don't worry about that, okay? No worries.
Thanks, Tim. Well, I'm excited today because we haven't really had guests in studio in a while. Melissa and I have been doing our own gig. It's just, when you're in the spring market, then it goes into summer. It just all sort of blends in with each other. So if you're watching us live, I just want to sort of get my face in there. I am here. I'm up there. I am. So we're on Facebook and all of the social media pages. So good morning to everybody. But I have the camera just set on my two guests. So I'm excited to have you guys. Are you guys nervous at all?
Not at all. Thanks for having us.
Bob, are you?
No.
No,
Never done it, but we'll see.
So I have Brian Kane with me. He's from Kane Construction. You do a little bit of everything from what I can see, because everything I need you do. I don't know if you actually do those things.
We try. We try to do a little bit of everything, try to help everyone out any way we can.
Yeah, awesome. So we're going to get in. I'm going to give you a minute and a second to introduce yourself and tell everybody more about your business and everything that you do there. And I also have Bob Brenton with me, right? I'm saying that correctly,
Correct,
right?
yep.
From Legacy Pumping, right?
Yes.
And this is your own firm?
Correct.
It is. And you do pumping. It says pumping on here, but you do other things. And today we're talking about like Title V inspections and all that, but we're going to get into like the healthy system and how to, do that. Love my title, you guys. Wait until you hear this one, Tim. Are you ready? If you don't love AI, you should, because I'm not even going to take credit for this. I said, please come up with a creative title for my show today, because what I was going to say about the septic systems, I can't say on air. And so like I was talking to Mark about it last night, and I was like, can I say it really isn't a crappy topic? He's like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't say that, but I was going to use the other word. And then Mark's like, well, maybe you say, well, this topic really doesn't stink. And I thought, you've heard them all. I know you guys have. I'm married to a plumber, so I know I've heard them all too. So this one is the dirt on septic, flushing out what sellers need to know. Oh, God, but that's so good. Right? You guys can look about keep it healthy. What are some of the myths about it, right? I added a couple of mine in there that I had thought of. And then what's the inspection process like? And then what happens if it fails? Oh, we have a caller already?
Yes, we do. We have Jane in Plymouth.
Hello, Jane in Plymouth. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing
Is this Melissa? Sharon.
This is Sharon. Yeah, Melissa's on vacation. Well, she got back late last night, so I told her she could have the night off. But I hope you're okay talking to me.
A while ago, there was a show They wanted people to call in who stayed in their original home after the children left.
Yes.
And my husband, Dick,
Yes.
called.
Yes.
And he's and you wanted to come and see where we live.
Yes, because you're going to give me some limoncello.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, of course I remember that.
And we have cesspools. We don't have a septic system.
Oh, so we'll talk about that, guys. I don't know if that's on our agenda, is it? Cesspools? Well, that would be a fail, right?
Was on your agenda, I just heard.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about septic systems. What do you think about the title? So, Jane, now he's having you call, right? Because he's tired of calling me. Dick, I promise you, we're going to come and see you. Don't drink all that limoncello. You know what I want to do is I want to put limoncello on vanilla ice cream. So I'll bring the ice cream. You supply the limoncello.
Don't have to bring anything.
Oh,
we have ice cream.
We have vanilla.
Have ice cream.
She wants vanilla, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take anything. Hey, I'm not choosy when it comes to my ice cream. But thank you for bringing up that point. So we will definitely talk about cesspools. Did you have a certain question about a cesspool, or do you want me to just make sure that I hit upon it while I'm here with my two guests?
Yeah, no, I am not making any comment about cesspools or septic systems. This is phone call, a nudge, a big nudge.
Okay, all right, perfect. Well, I promise we will be down in the next couple of weeks, and I'll be down anyways because we're having our event too, a couple of events going on that I want to tell you about. So I'd love to see you again.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds great.
Talk soon. So
okay, have a good day.
Bye, Dick. And Jane. I call them Dick and Jane. I don't really think her name is Jane, but they're wonderful. They're from Plymouth, and they talk about their home. They have a beautiful home, and they've stayed in it forever. And this is actually such a great topic because my career right now is at that point where I'm seeing a lot of that happening, where the people who have been in their house, right?
Right.
They're the ones that are going forward. So first and foremost, Brian, please tell everybody about your company. Again, it's Brian Kane Construction. So tell everybody what it is that you do and all the different pieces of it.
So we are a excavation company based out of Pembroke. We do septic systems, site work, hydro seeding, lawn installs, grading, stuff along those lines. I'm a third generation. My grandfather started the business. We were incorporated in 1974, mainly as a masonry contractor. Both my father and grandfather were both masons. My father built many chimneys in Pembroke, and in 2019, he kind of retired from doing any of the masonry stuff, and at that point, I decided I wanted to try to transition the business into doing excavation work, because that's really what I like doing. So
I saw the recent video of your new splurge. Were you on a tractor?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. My wife loves when I'm with. Unfortunately,
she splurges a $7 coffee, and you
Right.
go out and buy a tractor.
yes, that's how it works. Unfortunately, I mean, we as the business grows, I have to
Yeah.
buy more
Boys
equipment.
love toys. That's all.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, you don't have to justify
it's
it
right.
to me.
I try, you know.
Yeah. So I know that with the masonry too, your dad has done some stuff. He did some repairs on my chimney as well, and he did. The two of you and with your crew did a lot of work at my house, the exterior of my house.
Yes.
And I have to tell you, I love your relationship with your father because he is a very strong personality.
He is.
And you sort of stay back a little bit. And then I saw there were times where maybe not so much.
No, we're both type A. We butt heads most of the day, but at the end of the day,
At the end of the day,
everything is good. You
got
know.
a beautiful product. But
Right.
I have to thank your dad publicly for saying thank you for pushing him to agree that what we wanted to do would look wonderful.
Yes.
And so we had all those granite, big granite blocks.
They were granite slabs. Yeah.
Yeah, that were in all, like we had them horizontally, I guess,
Yes.
right? So they were all like sort of cut into our yard, and we decided we wanted to pull them and lay them flat in front of our garage and a couple pathways.
Right.
And you hated it.
I couldn't see the vision until we started to get going on it, and
And it was a lot of work.
It was, and you also got to give credit to Mark for picking all those things up.
I know.
God bless him.
I know. He's strong.
Those were some heavy pieces of granite. I will tell you that.
Yeah, he is strong. But I love after it was all done, you agreed with your dad. So that's that shows me strong character when
Right.
one can say that they were wrong. I hope your dad is listening, by the way, or at least listens to the rerun so he can see that I'm giving him kudos right now. But I love your dad said your garage looks more like a carriage house now.
Right.
And I loved that.
Yeah.
It's exactly the vision that I had in my head. Don't worry, Bob. We're going to bring you into this conversation.
Sure.
Yeah, but so you did a great job with that. But today we're here to talk about, the excavation part too, and, repairing septic systems, of course, is a big part of what you do.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you have a lot of experience, years of experience.
I do, yeah. And we just, we like doing it, and I like working in Pembroke. We, most of our work is in Pembroke and Hanson, Halifax, local to the South Shore.
Local, yeah. So mostly your touch towns,
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
I have to tell you too. One of the things that I love and appreciate about your company is your crew, and I know one of them. You recently lost one of them to the Carolinas.
I did.
Yes, I had the pleasure of helping them sell their property and their home in Pembroke. What a great, great family they are. And just hard workers, but I have to tell you, they're just, so respectful when they're on property,
Yeah.
and that to me goes a long, long way because I am a business owner.
Right.
And that's a reflection of you.
I have a great crew. I couldn't ask for a better crew, honestly. I mean, every job that we go to, I try to strive, to do the work at whoever's property we're working at, like it was my own house, and my guys pick up the slack, and we'll do whatever we need to do
Yeah,
to
'cause I
get
know-
the job done and make sure that it looks nice.
Yeah.
When I leave, I don't have to worry that, I have to come back and check what they did because I know that they're all hard workers and they all know what to do and they do a great job.
They really do a good job, and they're very personable. And I know Mark says, my husband, obviously, McNamara Plumbing, one of the things he says, the most important tool he has on his plumbing truck is his broom.
Yeah.
Because at the end of every one of his jobs, he doesn't care how long it takes him. He's
Right.
sweeping up behind him, and
Absolutely.
he gets more comments on that
Right.
than anything else. So it's just
absolutely.
a pride of you're stamping your name in. You know what? You're 3 generations.
Yeah.
I have goosebumps right now and could potentially cry. Why? But like you're stamping not only your name but your father's name
Yep.
and your grandfather's name on every piece of work that you do. So I commend you for that.
Well, thank you.
Talking about legacy, is that the reason why you came up with your name? It's sort of a legacy of your family has been in this business, right, for a long time, or can we not go down that path, or do you not want to?
We certainly can. So
And Bob Brenton, by the way, by Legacy Pumping.
yes. So I started this company this year, and it was my family had been in the wastewater industry since 2001 under former companies, and we did end up selling last year to a larger firm. And it was always in my ingrained in me that I would probably be dealing with septic systems for my whole life, and doing the Title V's and the pumping, doing it for about 15 years. And with the new company is my brother, and also some other employees that were with me, and it's going really well. We'll basically, we have 2 locations, Plymouth and Pembroke, and our service area is the South Shore. Probably makes up about 20-25 towns
Nice.
to do inspections and septic pumping.
And is that everything that you do? So, like, if you did an inspection and it needed a riser, do you do risers or do you call Brian?
No, we do small repairs.
And do you prefer it that way?
Yeah, I mean, most of the times if they have to put tank risers on and stuff like that, even D-box risers, Bob will take care of it because they've already exposed everything. I mean, normally if he calls me, it's more involved. We got to do pipe replacements and
Yeah.
get a machine in there and stuff and digging along those lines.
Okay.
A lot of times what dictates that is if a permit needs to be pulled too.
Oh, okay.
So permits generally aren't required for filter installs or risers, but as soon as you start cutting pipe, whether it's an outlet pipe or a distribution box replacement, that's when permits need to be pulled.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so to all of our WATD listeners and all of our listeners that are listening, you can sort of see the corner of my head here. You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you have any questions for me regarding real estate or for my guests here, please call the studio and Tim will get you over to us. 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. You can even text that number and Tim will get a text message and he can read your question online for us. So let's just sort of start, I guess, with the process of, let's talk a little bit about a healthy system. Want to talk about that first? And you know what? Let's go the other way because the other stuff I want to talk about first. Let's start with inspection, okay? If you want to, somebody's going to be selling their house. I always tell people, do that inspection before you put the house on the market for very good reasons, right? Because everyone always thinks, oh, it's going to pass.
That's probably my favorite thing about you guys. Everyone that is even thinking about selling their house, I always recommend, everyone panics and doesn't want to do the Title V, and because they're worried that it's going to fail.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing to say that it could pass as well. And I can't tell you how many times we see, they put the house up for sale, and it's never with you guys. It's with other real estate firms where they put the house up for sale, and then they do the Title V, and now it's failed.
Yeah.
And then the homeowners are stressed out because now they're worried they're going to lose the sale. How are we going to do this? They have another home lined up, and, if they had just a month before got a Title V done, one way or another, it's unfortunately going to have to get done if it fails. But again, there's nothing to say that it might pass. I mean, my aunt's house was built in 1963, and that passed Title V with a D box for $1,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everyone gets nervous that the system's old. There's nothing to say because it's old that it's not going to pass. And I stress that to people. It's at the end of the day, the longer you wait, it just
It doesn't go away.
No, it just ups the chances of how stressed that you can be. I mean, yes, potentially you put it on the market and it passes and everyone's happy, but if it doesn't, it's it's delaying the game is just not gonna.
And it's stressful because you know what, Brian? A lot of people don't understand the process.
No.
They think, oh, my system failed. I guess I just call Brian and he puts takes one out, puts one in. Oh no, my friends.
No. Unfortunately, it's we can get into that a little bit later, but that's it's a somewhat lengthy process if it fails, and
and time of year has a lot to do with it, right? So that's what the advice that our agents right now and I'm giving my clients is, if you are considering putting your house on the market in the spring, then do your Title V inspection now.
Exactly.
Just do it now. If it fails, I feel like they think that if it fails, I'm going to have the septic police breathing down my neck, right?
No, and if it fails, if you're selling the house, if it fails, obviously, you got to get the ball rolling with getting an engineer, and the town's not going to be coming knocking on your door at 5 o'clock at night saying, hey, we have a problem. You just need to get the ball rolling. And if you're not selling the house and you do an inspection and it does fail, the town offers all sorts of programs through the town and the state with betterment loans, which is a great alternative if, that's something you want to pursue,
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I think is really key is one of the things you said is in my opinion, you don't want to do it after you already have the sale, because I'm telling you, if I'm the buyer's agent and that house fails, I want to be looking, well, not me personally, but I would take whatever those engineering plans are. I would bring them to Shane McGlone and say, Shane, can you tell me what this system is?
Right.
Because what I'm looking at right now could be completely different from what gets installed. Is it going to be in the same location? What if I was going to put a pool over there? Or different things can happen after you already have your buyer, and you don't want to go through that process.
No.
So you are very right about that. So doing the septic inspection, what is the process for that? So a homeowner just calls you and says, hey, Sharon told me that I should give you a buzz. I have to have a septic inspection done. What do you do from there?
Sure. So the first thing we do is we have to obtain the plans. Usually they're at the local town hall board of health
Unless
office.
you go to Pembroke and the house was built before 1978.
Right, yeah, that's true.
and then that becomes a problem.
Yeah, right. And then from there we do an on-site inspection and basically go out to the property. We start at the septic tank and make sure that everything's good in there, that the T's are all structurally sound, the liquid level is correct, the tank's not leaking, and then from there it's usually a distribution box,
Mm-hmm.
or it could even be an overflow to a cesspool, which we would call a leaching pit.
Mm.
And as long as there's no hydraulic failure, all the levels are correct, usually it passes. There are some other things that we have to contend with, like groundwater table, and other local regulations, but it's a pretty simple system. I mean, it's a pretty simple process because the systems are simple.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, think because they can't see it that it's intimidating, but they're very simple.
So do you have to get into everybody's homes when you're doing an inspection?
We generally want to see the basement because we want to see how many pipes are leaving the foundation, and we also want to do a bedroom count. The garbage disposal we do want to look at to see if there's one, because we have to recommend that it be removed if the system's not designed for one. But sometimes there's certain circumstances that don't allow that.
Do you know when I'm a buyer's agent, one of the first things I do when everybody's like, oh, look at the granite, look at the stainless. I'm like, let me look in the sink. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
it's the first thing I want to do
Yeah.
because I just know that a lot of people put them in after the fact and
Right.
they're not great.
No.
Yeah, right. So when you're looking at the levels, right? So where's the distribution box? Like somewhere in like that? I'm sort of drawing pictures for my guys. Is it sort of
On the other side.
on this side?
Yep,
Oh, so
right
it
there.
goes on this side
Correct.
to the leaching. Okay.
Correct.
So for all my listeners, you can't see my little sketches, but you have your house, you have a pipe that goes out to the tank, right? So you have the level it's going in, so all the solids are going to the bottom, right? And then your liquid is, on top of that. And then, but this pipe that's going out is lower than the pipe coming in, right?
Correct. So the house side is the inlet side, which is
And-
higher, and then the D-box side is going to be the outlet side.
And this side is lower. So then that goes out to the D box. What's the D box function? I know, what does it do?
It's a distribution box. It distributes the liquid evenly throughout the leaching field.
Okay, so through all the pipes.
Correct.
Okay. Oh, so from the distribution box, it would go like this.
Correct.
Okay, so like if you have 5 different pipes coming out.
Correct. They
Yeah.
all go out evenly. So
Are you impressed with my skill right now?
you are. If you're
I need
looking for a job, you're hired.
Literally, yeah, I need another job, Brian. But so for you, Bob, when you go, where are you looking? Are you looking in here? Are you looking like where are you pumping it from?
We're
Where's
pumping
the
it
pump?
from
Up here?
yes,
Like
from
a hole here?
correct. So a normal 1,500-gallon septic tank has 3 access points: one over the inlet tee, one in the middle, and then one over the outlet tee.
Right here?
Yep, the outlet cover is our primary spot to go to because so many tanks have effluent filters nowadays, so we can clean the filter and pump the tank from the same access point. If you had a line clog going into the house, then we would have to get to the inlet cover to jet that in, or clear that. Sometimes grease gets built up.
Yeah, see, that's a
from
no-no.
pouring down.
Yeah.
Right.
We
no
feed
grease,
our
yeah.
trees with that. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that out loud, but that's what we do.
Yeah. So, and then the distribution box for an inspection is the most important part. That's what's going to tell you if the system is operating correctly. That's a definite access point that you have to get into. Actually, the state says that you must inspect it and dig it up.
Okay, so a lot of times I see pictures of this, and I'm picturing one in particular that it was like all crumbly, so is that cement, made out of cement?
It is, yes.
Yeah. So what I'm assuming it crumbles, you're out.
Yeah.
That's a fail.
No, not a fail. Just it needs to be replaced.
Oh,
the distribution
conditional.
box.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just a
Conditional.
conditional.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're doing your inspection, you can have a pass, a fail, or a conditional.
Or further eval by Board of Health.
Oh.
There's 4.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know about that one. So then you would call Lisa if you were in Pembroke and say, Lisa, I need you to come.
Right.
And she's like, are you kidding me right now? No. I love Lisa. She's been on the show many a times. So, and Lisa Cullerty, by the way, is our Board of Health agent. All right. So now you can you're opening this up, but like at what? So this is below the ground. So the ground is here. So how is this thing up here more?
It's normally, at the end of the outlet, there's a line that goes out to that, and I know Bob appreciates when installers put risers on and they're not 6
So
feet
this is
below
where
grade.
the riser goes.
Yes.
I thought the riser was on this where you pump it out.
It can be. It depends on, the height. It basically, the risers on the tank depend on the pipe elevation coming out of the house. If the tank is, 2 feet below grade, then you want risers to have them within 6 inches so that
Yeah.
it's easily
Easy.
accessible. I can't tell you how many times Bob's called me and said, "Hey, I got an inspection. We can't find the D box. It's down." And we end up going over the
I
machine
think I might have
to-
just referred to one of them.
to find it, and it's down 4, 5, 6 feet, and it's crazy that when these things were installed that no one ever thought, hey,
Decks are over them, driveways are over them, all kinds of things. Yeah, right.
We had one, the deepest one that the 2 deepest ones I've ever seen. Actually, Brian was involved in both of them. One was 15 feet. That was a couple years ago, and then
yeah,
15
more recently
feet.
12 feet
Yeah.
below grade.
Was that the one on
Yeah.
Plymouth Street?
No.
Okay,
No.
that was a tough one. I mean, Mark was over there. We were even looking to see if we could find it. He was underneath the deck, like moving leaves and
Oh,
stuff.
I remember that one.
Yeah, I
Yep.
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was not that one.
that was a hard one.
Yeah.
And there was no paperwork. Okay,
Yeah.
so for all our listeners, we are talking about septic pumping and everything. And the title today is The Dirt on Septic, Flushing Out What Sellers Need to Know. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, just give us a buzz, 781-837-4900. Oh, I should be probably watching if anybody has questions for us on Facebook and everything, but I'm doing my best. So if you have any questions, you can throw them up there as well. All right, so when you look in here, and the water level is above that outlet, then you know you have a problem somewhere, right?
Something's going on. It doesn't mean it's necessarily an automatic failure, but there could be an elevation issue. The filter could be clogged. So you just need to do more.
Is that called like a Zebel filter?
Zabel.
Zabel.
Yes.
Zabel.
Yes,
Zabel.
correct.
Okay, a Zabel filter. Okay. That's sort of, I'm not going to say newer thing, but like newer than 92.
Yeah, they came out, I think, in the mid 90s is when they really started getting popular.
Pembroke was actually one of the first towns to really
Yeah.
push for that, and I think it was even like late 80s.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and that has to be changed frequently or like
Cleaned.
cleaned?
They're
Oh,
made of plastic.
so you do that.
Correct.
Yeah, you probably have the worst job of anyone sitting in this room right now. I mean, if Mark was here, it would be a tie.
That
but
can be-
yeah,
yeah,
he
that's
has
very
some.
dirty,
He
yeah.
has some dirty jobs
Right.
too. So that's interesting. So what could be an elevation thing? Because I know, Brian, there was also another client that I had referred to you, and something was in backwards. And then I do remember one situation where I did refer you, but these people went with somebody else. And I remember Shane was the engineer, and it was a new system, but it was put in crooked, like it wasn't level.
Right. So sometimes you'll see elevation issues when, if it was a new house or if it was a replacement system, when the tank went in, it can settle around the tank. And I've seen, though, actually the worst one that I have ever seen was one you recommended here in Pembroke. And the pipe had settled like 16 inches. And
Huh.
I can't believe that the people were not having more issues than what they were inside the house. But sometimes you'll see that on the inlet side, and other times you'll see it on the outlet side. I mean, back in the 60s and 70s, they used to use this Orangeburg pipe, which is basically tar paper that was fused. And the stuff at the time, sounded like a great idea. It does not
Hold up.
And a lot of times we'll see people, think that their septic's in failure, they're having problems in the house, it's backing up, and they're in full panic mode. And, we show up and open the tank, and the tank's at perfect working level. And we're like, what's going on? Well, the Orangeburg can collapse over time and actually literally
Disintegrate?
just disintegrate. And, that's another issue that you'll see, which, again, is not always, a failure. It's just that the pipe needs to be replaced from the tank to the house, which oftentimes isn't, a huge deal to do.
Yeah. So, and that's our point here, right? It isn't always the worst of news that you have to have a new system. I think
No.
that everybody thinks, oh, I need to have a new septic system. It's going to cost me $35,000. And
Right.
you know what? Here's the thing. I think when it comes to that stuff, I always say buyers are looking for what's wrong, not for what's right.
Right.
So if I go into somebody's house and I don't know, there's a hole in the wall, the buyer says, oh, that's going to cost me $1,000 when it's going to be, 50, right? Or even if. I think with septic systems, it's the same thing,
Yeah.
right? They just think, oh, that's going to cost me $35,000. And possibly, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I was talking to Mark, and one of our agents has had a fail, and they got Mark had to go over there for something to do with plumbing, and the agent had said that they got an estimate, and Mark's like, you should call Brian. So, anyways, you should be getting that phone call if you haven't already. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Not to say that you're going to do it cheaper, but like this is, and again, I say this on the radio show all the time, and I know that my listeners know this about me. I only bring people on my show that I trust and would use myself. All right. It's just who I am. And I think that there are some companies out there that I definitely, wouldn't recommend. And that's why you don't hear them on my show. But for the most part, not for the most part, I'm telling you, you guys are the best. All right. So this failure thing, if the water is higher, it could be a couple of different things. So maybe don't worry as much. Right.
Right.
Brian, as you were talking, and you were talking about that pipe that was sort of sloped the wrong way. I don't know which way it was sloping, but it was sloping the wrong way. I recall another time years and years ago, I had a house, and it was a newer system, but they had like that same sloping issue had happened, and lo and behold, they were thinking about it after the fact, and they had some work done on their house, and big heavy trucks had, driven on the driveway.
Yep.
Not on the driveway, on the grass.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's really important for homeowners to know where their system is.
It is, and you can't. There are systems that we can install that can be driven over, and depending on what you have for space, it can go under your driveway. It has to be H20 rated, which H20 mean your average septic that goes into a residential house is H10 load, which means it's not designed to be driven over with heavy equipment or vehicles. But they do make stuff H20 load, so you can put it under the driveway and be driven over. But I always tell people, like, listen, you have to be very careful what you're driving out here, because it can do thousands upon thousands of dollars of damage without even knowing.
Yeah.
And we put a new system in a plumber. It certainly wasn't Mark, because Mark, we know him. No, Mark knows better than that.
Yeah.
We had put the system in and backfilled it on a Friday, and Tuesday morning, the plumber had his plumbing van on top of it, and I'm like,
what are you doing?
Whoa.
Yeah.
What's going on here,
Yeah.
So that's definitely one thing I always stress to people, like, before you do anything, at least have an idea of where all your components are. And
yeah, absolutely. So I know when I bought this building, I don't know that you were out on your own.
No.
You weren't then, right? So I did have a system put here in my building here, and I did, and I guess it must be the H20 load.
Correct.
Because I made sure that you can park on the leaching field and out back, because I have a pump up system that you could do it in the back, like park in the back where the tank is. So if I ever need it for future parking, I thought that was a smart thing to do.
Absolutely.
And that is another thing too, is, and again, we have an agenda, guys. I never go by it. It's just whatever comes off the top of my head. But, somebody goes, they have the system done, and if it fails, I always suggest to people when they go through the engineering process, and we'll talk more about that right now too, is, think of different things, like what's going to make your house, this is another reason, do it before. What's going to make your house worth more money, right? So like if you have a colonial and you potentially could do 4 bedrooms and you have a 3-bedroom septic system right now and it fails, maybe you make it a 4-bedroom septic for future.
And at the time, people ask me this question all the time, how much money is it to add an additional bedroom on when, we're putting the system in? And when we're putting the system in, it's not much money. I mean,
because it's really only increasing the leaching field, right?
It is, and it's not, after the fact, can it be done? Yes. It's a little bit bigger of a deal to do it after the fact, but
because now you have to disrupt,
dig everything back up, and it's a lot harder to do it after the fact than it is to do it while we're there. And people have said to me, "Oh my, is it going to be $10,000 to add a bedroom?" Absolutely not. No, it's we're talking couple hundreds of dollars, if not $1,000, to add another bedroom on, which will increase the value of your house
100%.
tenfold.
Absolutely. Well, this is actually a question that I don't know the answer to. So with this distribution box, do those come in different sizes? So like, is it almost like, like when I look at a heating system, I can tell how many zones it has?
Yeah. So the distribution boxes, your normal house has it's called a 5-outlet distribution box. So there's 5 pipes that can come out of it. But they make those up to, basically, they have, a house you can put a 7-outlet in, You can, if it was a system that was bigger than that, you can actually do 2 separate distribution boxes with one that feeds both of those.
So if you had a hotel.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind for
Right.
another business. So the normal one is 5. So does that mean, is it one for each bedroom? Is that how you do it, or does that not really matter?
Not really matter, no.
No? Okay, Bob's shaking his head no
Yeah.
too. You can talk. I know. We're on the radio. Go ahead. So it doesn't mean, okay, I have 5 outlets. That means I could have 5 bedrooms.
Correct.
And it doesn't mean I have 3 bedrooms, so 2 of them are blocked.
Right.
So all of them are always being used.
No, not necessarily. I mean, it just depends on what we have for space to put the system in as far as width and length. Sometimes the engineers will design the systems not as
Narrow.
wide but longer,
Yeah.
depending on what we have as far as room to do it. So
So sometimes we see them going down the side of a yard.
correct.
Right, because we have a lot of that probably in Pembroke, right?
Yes.
Because of the smaller lots,
Right.
the pre-existing non-conforming lots that we have, being close to the pond. I don't even know if we have enough time to hit a pond like a tight tank, but that's another story, I
Right.
guess. But you must love tight tanks.
Yes, because they always need to be pumped. Yeah.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's a lot in Pembroke, Halifax, and Hanson. You get down into like the Plymouth area, and there's not as many,
Okay.
but definitely a lot up here.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm going to switch back over to you. So you're doing your thing and you're checking, and you see that okay, it's a pass. All right, that's easy breezy. You see that it's a fail. What happens at that point? So then you're filling out the paperwork, and you have to report that with the town.
Correct. So in the town of Pembroke, we have to call Lisa and
Yeah.
have her come out and confirm the failure.
Oh, okay. I
Yep.
didn't know they have to confirm a fail.
In Pembroke.
Okay.
So other towns you don't have to, but in Pembroke you do.
Okay.
So then it gets confirmed, and then you write it up as a fail, submit it to the town, and that kind of starts the clock because you then have 2 years to put a new one in.
And who's checking? Nobody, right? Nobody comes back and you don't knock on their door in 2 years if they didn't put a new system in, right?
I don't, but I'm sure there's some regulations at the Board of Health to control that.
Yeah.
And each town probably does that differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I've never seen it happen.
No.
No.
No, I mean, most of the time,
It matters, I guess, what the fail is
Right.
too, right? Like,
right.
if it's, you know what I mean?
If it's a fail because it's a water table issue where we don't have the correct distance between the water table, that's different than if you have a full hydraulic failure and it's running down the side of your yard
yeah,
into the
I
road.
was going to say you flush the toilet and it's
at-
bubbling in the
right.
front
At-
yard.
At,
That's
that
an
point,
issue.
then the town is going to be, down to
rightfully
enforce
so.
it. But within 2 years, most of the time, people can get the ball rolling to try to,
Yeah.
get an engineer started and stuff along those
Yeah.
lines.
And that's one of the things that you said earlier, Brian, too, is, if you're thinking about selling your house, it's if it's going to happen eventually, things only
Right.
get more expensive and more complicated. You might as well just sort of get it done. But I know that, the towns do have different programs where they can do a betterment loan. They can do things like that,
Right.
so you can pay like on your taxes and stuff, right?
And we do that. We do that often. In most of the towns we work in, they do betterment loans, which is a good program
Mm-hmm.
for everyone. And another thing, which I think Bob can probably confirm, if you get a Title V, the Title V is good for 2 years, 3 if you pump. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's if you're even thinking about selling your home in the next 2 to 3 years, it's worth
Yeah.
having the peace of mind that it's done and over with.
100%.
You get the certificate, and you have 2 years to sell, 3 if you pump it, and at least. And if not, if you're thinking about selling and it fails, now you have the time to
Think about it.
think about options and go along it that way.
Yeah. And, there's nothing worse than feeling stressed. And again, I've put my guys under stress in a couple of situations. Not often, though, right? To be quite honest, it doesn't happen to me that often because I feel like I'm preparing people beforehand. But there are circumstances where, oh no, like now we're going to be closing. One of my agents had a situation actually in Hanson. And, yeah, that wasn't a good situation at all because it was a past system and the homeowner had her own people and hired somebody to come and do like a repair. It was just a repair. And when he went there, he's like, this is a total fail.
Right.
And had to call in the Board of Health from over there. That ended up being a huge ordeal because we were closing in like 3 weeks or something.
Right.
Or they were closing in like 3 weeks. And that's why I just like being organized. You know, hey, I'm going to get this done. If it fails, then you have the time to not make rush decisions. So it fails. Okay. Next steps are you call Shane McGlone.
Correct.
That's who I call. All
Yep.
right. I don't know. I'm sure you have other. You know, that's so funny that I'm thinking about it. I'm going to do a radio show on I Have a Guy, and I'm going to have my listeners test me to see if I have a guy. I only have one guy that I know that does that because I don't pay attention to anyone else. I mean, you're my guys now. That's why you're here. But sometimes people will say, oh, can I have a couple different names?
Right.
You know? So Shane McGlone is great. He's been in this industry as long as I have been, and he's wonderful. So you call him. What's his job? What's his role? I don't know who wants to take this question.
So Shane will come out, and Shane is great. So Shane, I give Shane a ton of credit. He comes out, and his first order of business is to come out and look at your house, but he's always thinking about if you're selling, if you're not selling. If you're selling, okay, well, what if the new buyers wanted to put an addition here? They wanted to put a pool here, and he goes out of his way to try to put the septic in the most
Inconspicuous.
in the best place possible to not restrict new buyers from putting an addition on, putting the pool on. I just can't say enough about him. He's a great guy. He'll come out and he'll look at your house and say, okay, this is what we have to do. And at that point, we'll schedule a perk test. So a perk test which is a percolation test, is with him and the town, whatever town you live in, would be with a health agent. We come out and dig a hole, and we observe the soil conditions as well as the water table elevation, and that determines what we can put in for a system and whether it has to be a pump system, which oftentimes has a mound, not all the time, but or if it's a gravity system. And a lot of times, people say, oh, I don't want a mound, and we don't want to put a mound in, to be honest with you.
Don't you feel bad for mounds?
You do.
I mean, honest to God.
You do. It's nobody wants one, and
No.
like
They always want the almond joy, never the mound.
No, and people say to me, I don't want a mound, and my normal response is, well, we'll do everything we can to prevent that, but sometimes there isn't an
can't.
option. If we're set by regulations of water table, and that normally dictates where we can put the system. Sometimes we can go in and have Mark come in and raise all the plumbing up if that we have the ability to do that, but sometimes you can't. And unfortunately,
And water only flows downhill,
it does.
right?
We can pump it uphill, but it still eventually has to flow downhill.
Yeah, so I was, in my situation, I mean, I guess I have a big mound, right? Because like my stuff is out back,
Right.
but I'm on a hill,
Yep.
so in the front yard you can't see,
No.
and that there is, I guess I am a mounded system in a
Right.
way, right? So, and then the pump up system. I know one time the alarm was going off and I had no idea what that was all about, but there was a faulty something in there. But we can talk about those types of systems. We only have 9 minutes left. So you are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. My name is Sharon McNamara. Of course, I am the host here today. I'm the broker owner of Boston Connect Real Estate, and I have two guests with me today. I have Brian Kane from Kane Construction with me, and I have Bob Brenton from Legacy Pumping. The topic is the dirt on septic, flushing out what sellers need to know. So if you have any questions for us, give us a call. Unless our conversation is that intriguing, you can do that. Give us a buzz, or you can text that. Also, a couple things before I forget at the very end. We have two different event type things going on. We are not, today would have been the day, but because of travel and different things, we weren't able to have our dog contest. We usually have like a dog costume contest and all kinds of fun things going on. We weren't able to do it today, but we are doing it virtual. So if you have a dog and you're dressing your dog up, you have to send us pictures of your dog. We have a huge basket that was given us from Amy Mesfer. She's an attorney over at Mahoney Law. So we have that for first prize. Second and third prize are gift cards, I think like $50 and $25. And then we also have a jack-o'-lantern contest. So go on to our Instagram and our Facebook pages at Boston Connect Real Estate to find out all the deets on that. Oh, God, I'm not going to lose my job, Melissa. With I'm like, I literally just looked up and I was like, oh crap, I can say that on this show. I'm supposed to talk about those things. So, and I was supposed to change out the board from last week. Okay, so now Shane does his thing. He goes out there. He does the perk test. I have to tell you, when they did the perk test here, I don't know that I was ever really present for one, and that was sort of interesting. I loved watching that whole thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's neat because it tells a lot about the area. Where when your house is built, did they bring in a lot of material to fill it, or is it all natural?
Yeah. Never thought of that part of it. And the nice thing about Shane, too, is since he has been in the business so long, you can literally call him about a property and he'd be like, oh, I did the one next door and I remember the soil was like this.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily mean your soil will be the same, but it gives you an idea.
It does. And the thing with him, he is my go-to engineer. Anyone that calls me for a septic, I recommend Shane. We do work with other engineers on the South Shore, but the one thing I'll say about Shane is, which is a big thing, when we call him, if we have a question, we have a problem, he's there 15, 20 minutes for an inspection, where you call some of these other guys and they'll say, oh, we'll try to get you there this week.
Yeah.
And as you know, sometimes we're under a time crunch where, we need to get the septic backfilled and wrapped up and loamed and hydroseeded for the sale.
And maybe not even just for that one, but you have one that's, needs it
right
in front of it.
And often in some towns require the as-built for the town to come out to do the inspection. And, sometimes we've had jobs where we've sat 3 or 4 days waiting for the as-built to be done, where Shane comes out at 3 o'clock on a Monday afternoon, and at 8 o'clock Tuesday morning, I'm picking it up to go bring it to the town hall. So.
And I love that about Shane, too, is that he actually goes to the site to make sure. And that was the one where he was the engineer on this other one I was talking about, but somebody else put it in, and I don't even remember the company's name, and it was crooked, and he made them take it out, and then they took it out, and it cracked. It was like this huge fiasco. All right, so you were talking about an as-built. That is sort of just where the system is, everything about it.
Exactly.
After the fact.
It's the blueprints for what's either installed at your house now, or when a new system goes in, Shane comes out and does the as-built, which people always, when we're putting a system in, they're like, well, how do I know where the components are? So Shane will come out, and what he does with the as-built, he takes measurements from the corners of your house, something that's fixed, that's not going to move, to all the components, and then you get a actual printed out piece of paper with all the measurements on it, with pictures before everything's backfilled, so you can physically see what was installed if you weren't the one that bought the house.
And that's what you're looking for, Bob, right? When you go to town hall, you're looking for the as-built, so like if you have a new client for pumping. I mean, do you keep a record of all your clients and where the pumping is, or every year do you have to go and find that?
Yes. No. What we try and do is we have a file system that when someone onboards with us for a pumping and they provide an as-built or we get it, we make sure that we keep that for any services after that.
Okay.
Which is great, because people always ask me, who do I use for pumping? And I'm like, you're going to get something in the mail. And I made sure of that when, Bob started. I said, listen, when you come to do a pump for us, when we're doing a new install, do these people get added on? And he said, yes. I said, fantastic, because
That's
then
awesome.
It goes into their system, and then they send you the reminders, and I know that they're in good hands.
Can you put me on your list? I don't know
Sure.
exactly. I'll be a new on board for you. Okay. I need here and I need my house. And, that's one of the things too, is like, and again, we might have to have another show just to talk about that aspect of things, is how to keep your system healthy. And, I know a lot of companies will suggest that you put all these additives and things in it, but the system should be just running on its own, right? I mean, with the bacteria that's already in there.
Correct. Yeah. Additives are not needed in upwards of 99% of cases. There are some very specific situations where if something is killing off all the bacteria, you can use them to rejuvenate it. But it's not a long-term thing that you want to be using. A lot of towns in the area have actually outlawed additives, and so septic companies can't even sell them.
Yeah, I think that's just an add-on with the additives.
It is, and that's
Yeah,
why I know that when I recommend someone to call Legacy, I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
These poor, you see it a lot.
I see it all the time.
with people that just don't know.
Yeah, or they
And-
Google something and they say, if you want your septic system to pass, you put this stuff in. you know, like a month before. And I have seen it
Right.
all with people trying to sort of beat the system. But I'm going to tell you, I think the poop always wins. Right? I mean, it does. So what do you suggest for people for a healthy system with pumping? Do you say, you know, based on the age of the system, every 2 years, every 1 year, every what?
Yeah, the general rule that I use is every 1 to 3, and
Yeah.
that probably covers 75% of the systems out there. There are outliers. You know, a single elderly woman
Yeah.
could go 5-7 years, even
Yeah.
maybe even longer. Someone with 10-12 people in a house might have to go every 6 months. So there's a lot of variables that go into that. But with the effluent filters being more and more out there, you want to get eyes in the system.
Is that the
because
same thing as that Zeeble thing?
It
Yes.
is.
Okay, it's just
It
a
is.
different name. Okay.
Yeah, they can clog so easily, and one house might clog every 4 months, and the next house might clog every 2 years. So going long periods of time could potentially cause you to have a backup in the home.
And I know you see it all, right? Because I've had stories with people too. So I actually was just telling the story to one of our listeners, actually, and I went and looked at their house, and they have a septic system, and I saw that they had a garbage disposal, and they're like, we don't even really use it. And I was like, I know, but you really shouldn't. You really should get rid of it. And I try to explain to people and tell me if I'm wrong. The reason why is, and we started to talk about this, that's our 2-minute warning. I started to talk about this earlier, is so if everything goes in down your sink and it goes into your tank, and then like little bits of pieces get stuck, then they're going through the outlet, right, into the leaching. Where's my leaching? I'm in the wrong way. Out to my leaching. So there's little holes here, right? And that's what sort of gets in there and clogs it.
It can if it makes it through the filter,
Yeah.
and that's
I
why
can't believe we're almost done.
I tell everyone. I had someone call me, say when they're having issues with their septic, and it had a filter in it, so they just took it out and they stopped having issues. Well, sometimes when the filter clogs, that's not a bad thing. That's
Yeah.
stopping.
Stopping what's getting in there.
Right.
All right, guys, you're going to have to come back for part 2. Is that okay?
That's
Because
all
we
right.
didn't get to the part about putting it in and all of that. So you're going to promise to come back. We'll figure out your schedules. I'm wide open, so you let me know what works for you. Brian, give everybody your contact information.
So you can find us on Facebook at Kane Construction, or give us a call at 781-771-3797.
Say that number one more time.
It's 781-771-3797.
And Bob, give everybody your number.
Sure, Legacy Pumping, 508-927-2562, and it's legacypumpinginc.com.
All right, perfect. And if you want more information on this, or if you want to get in touch with these guys and you weren't able to get the whole show, you can listen to our past shows. We'll have that up for you on Monday. Just go to our podcast, Talk Real Estate Roundtable, and we'll get that for you. Or just give me a call at 781-294-4848. Thank you.
And friends
Thanks for
are
having us.
people
All
who
right,
are close
bye,
to our heart.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
That
I
time
like
flew.
to think of you
Bye,
as
Tim.
my neighbor and my friend.
This is CBS News on the
Sorry,
Hour,
Tim. I know I
sponsored
went
by
30 seconds
O'Reilly
over.
Auto Parts.
I'm Christopher Cruz. The sound of explosions in Tehran early
Good
this
job,
morning
guys.
as
Brian,
Israeli
can you
fighter
take it
jets
on,
attacked military targets. Iranian media reported multiple explosions over several hours in the capital and at nearby military bases. So far, no.
And then we're still live. So I just want to make sure we get that up. You did a good job. It goes by fast, though, right?
Yeah, really quick.
It flies by, and I try to get everything in, and then I digress, and then, you know, that's the end of it. Bye, everybody. And